Listen to me closely. This is not an ordinary moment, and this is not an ordinary message. There are times when God speaks gently, like a whisper that calms the soul. And there are times when God speaks with urgency, shaking the inner man awake. This is one of those times. Right now, something is shifting in the unseen realm. Something is aligning. Something is moving with purpose. And God is saying with clarity and authority, be prepared for tonight. Not tomorrow, not next month, not someday in the distant future. Tonight, if you feel a stirring in your spirit, if your heart is beating a little faster, if something deep inside you says, this is for me, then stay with this word, because God does not speak without intention, and God does not warn without reason. There are moments when destiny does not knock politely, it arrives suddenly. God often works in ways that surprise the mind but confirm the spirit. Tonight represents a threshold, a crossing point where preparation meets opportunity. Many people miss divine moments not because they are unworthy, but because they are unprepared. God may release favor, direction, or correction in a single night. And if the heart is not ready, the moment passes unnoticed. Preparation is not fear. Preparation is faith. When God says be prepared, it is not because something negative must happen, but because something significant is about to unfold. Preparation begins in the inner world. Before anything changes on the outside, God examines what is happening within. The heart is the meeting place between divine intention and human response. God is not impressed by noise or appearance. God looks for alignment. Tonight is not about perfection, it is about positioning. When God says be prepared, God is calling you to adjust your inner posture, to move from distraction to attention, from doubt to expectancy, from passivity to readiness. There is a difference between waiting and preparing. Waiting is passive, preparation is active. Waiting hopes something will happen. Preparation declares that something will happen. Some of you have been asking God for a breakthrough, but you have been asking with yesterday's mindset. God is saying that tonight requires a new level of awareness. Old patterns cannot carry new assignments. Old thinking cannot sustain fresh instruction. Preparation often feels uncomfortable because it demands change before clarity. God may not explain everything in advance, but God always reveals enough to prepare the obedient heart. Tonight is not about knowing every detail. It is about trusting the voice that speaks. There are nights when God tests readiness, not by giving instructions, but by observing response. How you respond to this moment matters more than you realize. Do you treat this as just another message, or do you sense that God is calling you to attention? When God speaks with urgency, it is an invitation to rise above routine. Routine dulls sensitivity, but urgency sharpens discernment. God is calling you out of spiritual sleep and into alertness. Prepared people recognize divine moments. Unprepared people explain them away. Think about how often God moves suddenly. A single night can change the direction of a life. A single moment of clarity can undo years of confusion. God does not need a long season to accomplish a powerful work. God needs a willing, prepared heart. Tonight is a moment when God may speak, redirect, warn, or bless, and those who are ready will receive with clarity. Those who are distracted may miss what was meant to shift everything. Preparation requires separation, not isolation from people, but separation from noise, from inner clutter, from unnecessary burdens. God is saying, clear your heart. Release what has been weighing you down. Resentment, fear, pride, and doubt are heavy weights that slow spiritual movement. Prepared hearts travel light. God cannot pour new strength into a heart that is already full of old worries. Tonight, preparation means letting go of what no longer serves divine purpose. Some of you sense that something has been building for a long time. You have felt pressure, delay, and silence. and you wondered if God had forgotten you. But silence does not mean absence. Often silence means preparation is happening in the unseen. God prepares outcomes before revealing them. God prepares doors before opening them. God prepares hearts before releasing answers. Tonight is connected to everything you have endured. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was random. Every delay refined you, and every challenge trained you to recognize this moment. Preparedness also means obedience in small things. Many people want big changes, but they resist small adjustments. God often tests readiness through simple instructions. Are you willing to forgive when it is difficult? Are you willing to listen when pride wants to speak? Are you willing to pause when impatience pushes you forward? These small acts of obedience sharpen spiritual sensitivity. Tonight, God may speak in a quiet way, and only those who have trained their hearts to listen will hear clearly. Faith is not just believing that God can act. Faith is living as if God is about to act. Prepared faith changes behavior. It changes how you think, how you speak, how you respond. If you truly believe that tonight matters, you will not approach it casually. You will approach it with reverence and expectancy. God responds to expectancy. Expectancy creates capacity. When the heart expects, it creates room for God to move. There are people listening right now who are on the edge of a turning point. You feel it even if you cannot explain it. God is saying, do not carry yesterday into tonight. Old disappointments, old regrets, old labels, leave them behind. Preparation is an act of trust. It says, God, I am ready for whatever you choose to do. That kind of surrender is powerful. It removes resistance. It aligns the will with divine timing. Sometimes preparation involves correction. God loves enough to adjust direction before damage occurs. If God is stirring conviction in your heart, do not resist it. Conviction is not condemnation, it is guidance. God corrects to protect, not to punish. Tonight may be a moment where God exposes something that needs to change, not to shame you, but to free you. Prepared hearts welcome correction because they value growth more than comfort. God also prepares people through hunger. Spiritual hunger is a sign of readiness. If you feel an increased desire for truth, for clarity, for purpose, that hunger is preparation at work. Do not ignore it. Feed it with attention and humility. God fills hungry hearts. Complacency blocks flow, but hunger opens channels. Tonight, hunger will determine reception. Some of you have been praying for answers, but God is preparing you to become the answer. Preparation is not only about receiving, it is about becoming. God shapes character before releasing influence. God strengthens integrity before increasing responsibility. Tonight may be a moment where God reshapes your understanding of purpose. What you thought was about you may actually be about what God wants to do through you. Preparedness requires courage. When God says, be prepared, it implies movement. Change requires courage. Staying the same feels safe, but growth demands bravery. God never calls people to remain stagnant. God calls people to rise, to move, to step forward. Tonight may require you to say yes before you feel ready. Prepared hearts understand that readiness is not the absence of fear, but the decision to trust God despite it. There is also a warning in preparation. Missing moments often leads to regret. God is gracious, but opportunities have seasons. Preparation honors timing. If God is urging readiness, it is because timing is near. Do not delay obedience. Delayed obedience often becomes disobedience. Tonight is not a time to procrastinate spiritually. It is a time to lean in, to listen, to respond. God works in patterns. Before major shifts, there is always a call to prepare. Before change, there is alignment. Before release, there is readiness. This is the divine pattern, and tonight fits that pattern. God is aligning circumstances, thoughts, and hearts. Those who align with God will move forward with clarity. Those who resist will remain confused. Preparation also involves rest. A prepared heart is not frantic. Panic comes from uncertainty, but preparation brings peace. God does not want you anxious. God wants you attentive. Peace is a sign of trust. Even when the future is unknown, prepared hearts remain calm because they trust the one who holds the future. Tonight, choose peace over worry. Worry clouds perception. Peace sharpens it. As this moment unfolds, understand that God's instruction to prepare is an act of love. G. OD cares enough to warn, to guide, to alert. Indifference would be silence. Instruction is evidence of involvement. God is involved in your life more deeply than you realize. Tonight is not random, it is intentional. Let your heart become still. Stillness is not inactivity, it is focus. In stillness, the noise fades and clarity emerges. God often speaks most clearly when the soul is quiet. Preparation involves creating space for God's voice. Not every voice deserves attention. Choose carefully what you allow to influence you tonight. Guard your heart, guard your thoughts. Preparation includes discernment. There may be resistance within you, that is natural. Change often challenges comfort. But do not allow resistance to harden into refusal. Soft hearts receive easily. Soft hearts adapt quickly. Ask God to keep your heart soft. Softness is strength in the spiritual realm. It allows shaping without breaking. God may also awaken memories tonight. Promises once spoken, dreams once delayed. Do not dismiss them. Revival of memory can be revival of direction. God reminds to realign. Preparation sometimes involves remembering what was once clear but became buried under life's demands. Tonight may restore vision. There is an urgency in this message because moments pass quickly. God's timing is precise. Preparedness is about honoring precision. If God says tonight, then tonight matters. Do not postpone response. Do not assume there will always be another chance. Live with awareness. Live with attentiveness. This is how prepared people live. As you listen, let expectancy rise. Expectancy is not demanding, it is trusting. It says, God, I am open. Openness invites movement. Closed hearts remain unchanged. Tonight, choose openness. Choose readiness. Choose alignment. God is near to those who listen. God is close to those who prepare. This moment is an invitation, not a threat. It is a doorway, not a wall. Preparation positions you to step through when the moment arrives. Do not underestimate what can happen in a single night when a prepared heart meets divine intention. Even now, something is shifting in your awareness. That is not imagination, that is response. God is already working. Preparation has already begun. Stay attentive. Stay open, stay ready. There is another dimension to preparation that many overlook, and that is alignment with truth. God never prepares people through confusion. Confusion comes when the heart is divided, when desires are scattered, when loyalty is split between comfort and calling. Tonight, God is not only asking you to be prepared externally, but to become unified internally. A divided heart cannot carry clear instruction. When the heart is whole, the direction becomes sharp. God is calling you to gather your focus, to pull your thoughts out of chaos and into clarity. Preparation begins when you decide that nothing matters more than alignment with God's will. Some people are exhausted not because life is heavy, but because they are carrying what God never assigned them. Preparation includes discernment, to lay down unnecessary burdens. God never intended for you to live overwhelmed. Overwhelmed dulls spiritual awareness. A prepared heart is a light heart, not careless, but unburdened. Tonight, God may be asking you to release responsibilities that were born from fear, not obedience. Let go of expectations that were never divinely placed. Freedom creates readiness. When you are free inside, you move faster when God speaks. There are seasons when God prepares people through waiting, and there are moments when God prepares people through urgency. This is not a season of delay, this is a moment of alertness. God is saying that what is coming requires responsiveness. Slow obedience will not work in fast-moving moments. Prepared hearts respond quickly because they have already settled the question of trust. They do not argue when instruction comes, they move. Tonight is about settling inner debates. Decide now that when God directs, you will respond without hesitation. Preparation also involves refining perception. Not everything that looks urgent is important, and not everything that looks small is insignificant. God often hides great meaning in subtle moments. Prepared people learn to value what others ignore, a quiet thought, a sudden conviction, a strong inner prompting. These are not accidents. God communicates through impressions as well as events. Tonight, sharpen your awareness, pay attention to what stirs you deeply, not what excites you temporarily. God prepares people for encounters before outcomes. Many want results, but God values relationship. Preparation deepens connection. When connection is strong, outcomes follow naturally. God is not interested in mechanical obedience. God desires responsive hearts. Tonight may be less about what changes around you and more about what deepens within you. Depth creates stability. Stable hearts can carry sudden blessing without collapsing under its weight. There is also a call to humility in preparation. Pride blinds perception. When people assume they already know, they stop listening. Prepared hearts remain teachable. No matter how much you have experienced, remain open. God's wisdom is endless. Tonight, God may reveal something that challenges what you thought you understood. Do not resist it. Growth often begins with unlearning. Humility creates space for revelation. Some of you have been strong for a long time. You carried others. You endured silently. You stayed faithful when it was difficult. God sees that. Preparation does not ignore past faithfulness. It builds upon it. Tonight, God may shift your role from endurance to advancement. Strength developed in hidden seasons becomes momentum in visible moments. Be prepared to move forward, not just to survive. Preparation also means guarding speech. Words shape readiness. What you say reveals what you expect. Complaints weaken faith. Declarations strengthen it. Tongue. Align your words with trust. Speak as someone who believes God is active, not distant. Even silence can be powerful when it is filled with expectation. Let your speech reflect readiness, not resignation. God prepares people by stretching vision. If your vision is limited to what you have known, you will struggle to recognize what is new. Tonight, allow God to expand your understanding of what is possible. God is not limited by patterns, history, or statistics. Prepared hearts do not measure future potential by past experience. They believe that God can interrupt cycles and rewrite narratives instantly. There is also an element of responsibility in preparation. When God prepares you, it is because God trusts you with what is coming. Preparation is evidence of trust. God does not prepare people casually. If God is stirring you tonight, it is because you are being entrusted with insight, influence, or instruction. Do not take this lightly. Honor the trust by remaining attentive and responsive. Some changes happen loudly, but others happen quietly. Prepared hearts are not dependent on drama to recognize divine movement. God often works quietly to avoid distraction. Tonight, the absence of noise does not mean the absence of action. God is efficient. God does not waste motion. Every adjustment happening now has purpose. Preparation also involves timing. Acting too early can be as harmful as acting too late. Prepared people sense when to move and when to wait. That sensitivity comes from closeness to God. Tonight may not be the moment to act outwardly, but it is certainly the moment to align inwardly. Internal readiness ensures external accuracy. There are moments when God prepares people for answers they did not expect. You may have been praying for one outcome, but God may deliver clarity that redirects your desire. Be open. God's answers always lead toward life. even when they challenge preference. Prepared hearts trust that God's wisdom exceeds personal understanding. As you remain attentive, you may feel conviction mixed with peace. That combination is significant. Conviction without peace creates fear. Peace without conviction creates complacency. Together, they create readiness. God balances both. Tonight, allow both to work together within you. Preparation sharpens courage. When you are prepared, fear loses power. Fear thrives in uncertainty, but preparation brings confidence. Not confidence in self, but confidence in God's guidance. That confidence steadies the heart even when circumstances remain unclear. God is not preparing you to impress others. God is preparing you to fulfill purpose. Approval from people is unstable, but alignment with God is secure. Tonight, release the need for validation. Prepared hearts are secure in divine affirmation. There is also restoration in preparation. God does not prepare broken vessels without repairing them. If there are areas of weariness, disappointment, or doubt, God addresses them before movement. Healing often precedes advancement. Tonight, allow restoration to take place. Do not rush past inner repair. Strengthened hearts sustain long-term progress. Preparedness transforms perspective. Instead of asking, why is this happening? You begin to ask, what is this preparing me for? That shift changes everything. God uses preparation to redefine interpretation. Challenges become training. Delays become development. Silence becomes instruction. As this moment deepens, remember that God is consistent. God does not contradict purpose. Everything happening now aligns with the greater plan. Trust that. Trust that your preparation is not isolated. It is connected to something larger than you see. Stay present, stay alert, stay receptive. Preparation is not a one-time act. It is a posture. Tonight is not just an event. It is a positioning. Hold that posture with humility and expectancy. God is attentive to those who are attentive to Him. What unfolds from this moment forward will be shaped by how seriously you respond now. Let readiness define you. Let alignment guide you. Let trust anchor you. There is a sacred seriousness attached to moments like this because preparation is not neutral. It shapes destiny. When God calls for readiness, it means something is approaching that will require discernment, maturity, and spiritual strength. Prepared people are not shaken easily because they have already settled who they trust. They are not surprised by change because they expect movement. God never prepares people to remain where they are. Preparation always points toward transition. Tonight is a moment where inner posture matters more than outer circumstances. God often prepares people by exposing what they rely on. If your confidence rests in stability, tonight may unsettle you. If your confidence rests in control, tonight may challenge you. But if your confidence rests in God, tonight will strengthen you. Preparation reveals foundations. Whatever cannot stand in the next season must be addressed now. God does not remove supports to harm you. God removes them to teach you how to stand on what is eternal. There are times when God prepares people by sharpening truth within them. Truth is not always comfortable, but it is always freeing. Illusions comfort temporarily, truth sustains permanently. Tonight, God may strip away assumptions that once felt safe. Do not resist that process. Prepared hearts value truth over familiarity. When truth settles deeply, fear loses its grip and clarity rises. God also prepares people by awakening responsibility. You are not being prepared only for yourself. There are others connected to your obedience, your growth, your alignment. When God prepares one heart, many lives can be affected. That is why preparation feels weighty. It carries consequence. God is inviting you to step into a greater awareness of impact. Your choices matter more than you think. Preparedness sharpens spiritual hearing. When the heart is ready, guidance becomes clearer. Direction that once felt distant begins to feel close. God does not shout to prepared hearts. God guides them. Tonight, Guidance may come as a steady conviction rather than a dramatic sign. Trust that quiet certainty. God often leads through peace that remains even when questions remain. There is also a call to resilience in preparation. What God is preparing you for may require endurance, not just excitement. Strength developed now will support you later. Do not underestimate the value of inner fortitude. Prepared hearts do not collapse under pressure, they adjust and advance. God builds endurance before expansion. Some of you have been asking God to remove obstacles, but God has been preparing you to overcome them. Victory is not always the absence of resistance. Sometimes it is the presence of strength. Tonight, your perspective may shift from avoidance to engagement. Prepared hearts do not run from challenge. They face it with trust. God prepares people to steward increase wisely. Increase without preparation can damage character. That is why God takes time to prepare hearts before releasing more influence, more responsibility, more visibility. Tonight may be part of that process. If you feel stretched, it is because capacity is expanding. Stretching is uncomfortable, but it is necessary for growth. Preparation also involves refining desire. Not every desire leads toward purpose. God aligns desire with destiny. Tonight you may feel certain cravings fade while deeper longings intensify. That is alignment happening. Prepared hearts desire what God desires. When desires align, obedience becomes natural rather than forced. There's a sacred exchange happening in preparation. God asks for surrender and gives clarity. God asks for trust and gives strength. God asks for attentiveness and gives direction. Nothing God requests is without return. Tonight, your willingness to prepare will open doors you cannot yet see. Do not measure preparation by emotion. Sometimes preparation feels powerful, other times it feels ordinary. God works in both. Faithfulness in ordinary moments builds readiness for extraordinary ones. Tonight does not need to feel dramatic to be decisive. Quiet obedience can be the most powerful response. God prepares people by teaching them to wait without drifting. Waiting with purpose is preparation. Waiting without purpose becomes stagnation. Tonight, waiting is active. It is focused. It is expectant. Prepared hearts wait with eyes open and spirits alert. As this moment continues, let your awareness deepen. Notice what resonates strongly within you. That resonance is not coincidence, it is confirmation. God speaks to the inner witness. Trust what aligns with peace and truth. Preparedness also reshapes identity. You begin to see yourself not as someone reacting to life, but as someone guided by God. That shift changes confidence. You no longer feel at the mercy of circumstances. You feel anchored hearts move steadily even in uncertain waters. God prepares people to discern timing, knowing when to speak, when to remain silent, when to move, when to stay. This wisdom protects purpose. Tonight, wisdom is being refined within you. Value it, guard it. There is a holy stillness available in preparation, not emptiness, but fullness without noise. In that stillness, assurance grows. You do not need all the answers to be ready. You need alignment. Alignment carries you where explanation cannot. Remain open, remain receptive, remain willing. Preparation is unfolding even now, shaping perception, strengthening resolve, aligning desire. God is faithful to complete what has begun. This moment is part of a greater movement, and your readiness determines how you experience what comes next. There is a deeper call within preparation that speaks to integrity. God prepares people by aligning what is seen with what is hidden. Private obedience strengthens public authority. What you nurture in silence determines what you can carry in visibility. Tonight, God is examining the inner chambers of the heart, not to accuse, but to establish stability. Prepared hearts do not live double lives. They move with consistency, and that consistency creates trust between the heart and God. God also prepares people by teaching them restraint. Not every opportunity should be taken, and not every door should be entered. Discernment protects destiny. Tonight you may sense a restraint, receive. energy within you, a pause, a check, a caution. That is not fear, that is wisdom. Prepared hearts respect restraint because they understand that timing is as important as action. Moving without instruction can delay purpose. Waiting for clarity can preserve it. There is an urgency to separate truth from emotion. Emotion changes quickly, truth remains. Prepared hearts are not ruled by how they feel, but anchored in what God establishes within them. Tonight, emotions may rise, but do not let them lead. Let conviction guide you. Conviction outlasts emotion and produces lasting direction. God prepares people to recognize the difference between pressure and purpose. Pressure pushes, purpose draws. Pressure exhausts, purpose energizes. If you feel drawn rather than driven, that is preparation aligning with calling. God does not coerce, God invites. Tonight, respond to the invitation, not the pressure. Some of you are being prepared to confront what you have avoided. Avoidance delays growth. God prepares people by strengthening courage to face truth directly. What you confront loses power. What you ignore gains influence. Tonight, courage is rising within you. Not loud courage, but steady resolve. That resolve will carry you through decisions that once felt overwhelming. Preparation also reshapes priorities. What once seemed urgent may lose importance, and what once seemed small may become central. God recalibrates focus before releasing clarity. Tonight, pay attention to shifts in priority. They are not random, they are directional. God prepares people by grounding them in gratitude. Gratitude anchors the heart and protects it from entitlement. Prepared hearts remain thankful even as they expect more. Gratitude keeps humility alive. Tonight, gratitude will stabilize your spirit and keep expectation pure. There is a refinement of trust happening. Trust is not proven when things are clear. It is proven when direction comes without explanation. God often prepares people by asking them to trust without details. That trust deepens relationship. Tonight, if clarity feels partial, do not resist it. Partial clarity still requires full trust. God prepares people to carry responsibility without pride. Influence tests character. Prepared hearts remain aware that everything entrusted to them flows from God. That awareness keeps power from corrupting. Tonight, humility is being strengthened within you, not to diminish confidence, but to protect it. Preparation sharpens awareness of consequence. Every choice shapes trajectory. Prepared hearts choose intentionally. They do not drift into decisions. Tonight, intention is being awakened. You will notice a greater awareness before acting. That awareness is a gift. God also prepares people by teaching them to stand alone when necessary. Alignment with truth may not always be popular. Prepared hearts are willing to stand even when misunderstood. Approval is not the goal. Obedience is. Tonight, courage to stand firm is being reinforced. There is a refining of hope taking place. Hope rooted in circumstances is fragile. Hope rooted in God is unshakable. Prepared hearts shift hope from outcomes to trust. That shift brings peace even before change arrives. God prepares people to recognize confirmation. Confirmation does not always come as repetition. Sometimes it comes as resonance. When truth resonates deeply, it confirms alignment. Tonight, trust what resonates with peace and clarity. As this preparation deepens, you may feel a quiet confidence replacing uncertainty. That confidence is not arrogance, it is assurance. Assurance comes from alignment. Alignment produces stability. Stability enables movement. Stay attentive, stay responsive, stay anchored. Preparation is continuing to shape you, layer by layer, thought by thought, decision by decision. God is faithful in this process. What you are becoming now is as important as what you will experience next. There is a refining fire within preparation that transforms intention into conviction. God does not prepare people casually. God prepares people deliberately. Every stirring you feel, every moment of inner tension, every pull toward deeper seriousness is part of that deliberate work. Tonight, God is not interested in surface level readiness. God is shaping depth. Depth is what sustains you when emotions fade and circumstances shift. Prepared hearts are deep hearts, anchored beyond appearances. God prepares people by strengthening their I, N-N-A authority. Inner authority is the ability to stand firm without external validation. When you know God is guiding you, you do not need constant reassurance from people. Tonight, that inner authority is being formed. You are learning to trust what God establishes within you more than what others affirm around you. This kind of authority produces calm confidence, not loud assertion. There is also a purification of motive taking place. God prepares people by aligning why they act, not just how they act. Pure motives protect purpose. Mixed motives distort direction. Tonight, God may expose intentions that need refining. Do not resist that exposure. Purification is protection. When motives are clear, actions become effective. God prepares people by sharpening conscience. Conscience is the internal compass that responds quickly to truth. A dull conscience delays obedience. A sharp conscience moves promptly. Tonight, sensitivity is being restored. You may notice a quicker response to what feels right and wrong. That responsiveness is readiness forming. Preparation also strengthens spiritual discipline. Discipline is not restriction, it is focus. God prepares people by teaching them how to manage attention, energy, and time. What you focus on grows. Tonight, God may redirect your focus from distractions to essentials. Essentials build strengths. Distractions drain it. God prepares people to carry silence well. Silence is not emptiness, it is formation. In silence, ego quiets and clarity grows. Tonight, do not fear silence. Let it work within you. God often forms the most important things without noise. There is a refining of patience happening. Patience is not passive waiting, it is steady trust. Prepared hearts do not rush outcomes. They trust timing. Tonight, patience is being deepened so that when movement comes, it is sustainable. God prepares people by teaching them how to listen beyond words. Sometimes guidance comes through patterns, through repeated themes, through consistent inner impressions. Prepared hearts notice these things. Tonight, awareness is expanding. Pay attention to patterns forming around you. Preparation also involves reconciliation. God does not prepare people while leaving unresolved bitterness in the heart. Bitterness poisons readiness. Tonight, forgiveness may surface as a requirement, not because the past deserves it, but because the future requires freedom. Prepared hearts forgive to move forward. God prepares people by strengthening faith that is not dependent on outcomes. Outcome-based faith collapses when results delay. Trust-based faith remains steady. Tonight, your faith is being anchored deeper. This faith will not waver easily. There is also an awakening of responsibility for personal growth. Prepared hearts do not blame circumstances. They take ownership of development. Tonight, you may feel a renewed commitment to grow intentionally. That commitment will accelerate readiness. God prepares people by teaching them to recognize divine order. God works with purpose, sequence, and timing. Nothing is random. Tonight, your understanding of order is being refined. This understanding will help you move wisely rather than impulsively. Preparation sharpens emotional maturity. Emotional reactions often sabotage purpose. Prepared hearts respond thoughtfully rather than reacting impulsively. Tonight, emotional stability is being strengthened within you. God prepares people by aligning them with truth, even when truth challenges comfort. Comfort preserves the present. Truth prepares the future. Tonight, choose truth. Truth will guide you safely. There is also a strengthening of resolve. Resolve is quiet determination rooted in conviction. Prepared hearts possess resolve. Tonight, That resolve is forming, giving you the ability to remain steady when pressure increases. God prepares people to recognize opportunity without being distracted by temptation. Opportunity aligns with purpose. Temptation distracts from it. Prepared hearts discern the difference. Tonight, discernment is sharpening. Preparation builds trust in God's consistency. God does not change unpredictably. God is faithful. Tonight, trust is deepening as you recognize patterns of faithfulness in your past that confirm guidance for your future. As this preparation continues, allow seriousness to deepen without becoming heavy. Joy and seriousness can coexist. Joy comes from trust. Seriousness comes from awareness. Together, they create balance. Remain receptive, remain grounded, remain expectant. Preparation is still unfolding, shaping character, refining perception, strengthening trust. God is at work within you, quietly yet powerfully, preparing you for what aligns with divine purpose and timing. This is the moment to recognize that preparation is no longer optional. It is essential. God has been speaking with clarity, stirring the heart, sharpening awareness, and calling for readiness, because what follows preparation is movement. God does not awaken hearts without intention. Every inner adjustment, every conviction, every sense of urgency has been leading you here. This is not the end of a message. It is the beginning of responsibility. What God has prepared within you must now be honored with attentiveness and obedience. Do not treat this moment lightly. Prepared hearts do not drift back into old patterns. They remain alert. They remain aligned. They remain responsive. God has been shaping you for discernment, not confusion, for courage, not hesitation, for trust, not fear. What unfolds next will reveal the value of this preparation. When the moment arrives, and it will arrive, you will recognize it because your spirit has been trained to respond. Stand firm in what God has established within you. Let readiness G. You guide your decisions. Let alignment shape your actions. Let trust anchor your heart. You do not need to force outcomes or chase signs. Prepared hearts move naturally. When direction comes, God's timing will not miss you when your posture is ready. Remain watchful, remain faithful, remain humble. What God has initiated will continue to unfold with precision. This preparation is proof that you are being positioned, not overlooked, refined, not delayed. Stay ready, not just tonight, but from this moment forward. Because when God speaks, responds, and moves, prepared hearts will rise without fear and step forward with confidence.